Well, hey there! I have a mystery for you. Do you know that somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean, there's an island you won't find in travel guides? No resorts or tourists. However, somehow, it has fans. It doesn't exist, but it has a name. Some maps show it, some don't bother. It's located at the point where the entire world begins, and it's marked with 2 zeros and named with 1. This is the story of Null Island, a spot sitting exactly at 0 degrees longitude and 0 degrees latitude. But before I can fully explain everything, a brief reminder on how coordinates work. Maps are covered in lines that help with navigation. Those going sideways are called latitude, covering from east to west, wrapping around the Earth kind of like belts. They measure how far north or south you are from the equator, the line right in the middle of the globe, halfway between the poles. Now, longitude lines go from top to bottom, north to south. They measure how far east or west you are from the starting line called the prime meridian. You make longitude and latitude cross, and you get 2 numbers that work like an address for any spot on Earth. That's how GPS operates, how planes find their way, and even how shipping routes and satellites are kept in check. It's a tried and proven system, so there's no reason to change it. But what makes it interesting is how old this concept actually is. Way back, more than 2,200 years ago, a mathematician named Eratosthenes measured Earth's size. He didn't need ships or satellites to do it. He noticed that in one city, the sun cast no shadow at noon, while in another city far to the north, the same sun did cast a shadow. By measuring the angle of that shadow and knowing the distance between the 2 places, he calculated Earth's circumference. And amazingly, his answer was almost exactly what we still use today. Eventually, he produced the idea of dividing the globe into lines. About 100 years later, another mathematician, Hipparchus, used a 360-degree circle to assign numbers to every location. Then, sometime during the Age of Exploration, each country used its own starting point, which made sailing confusing. This was the case until, in 1884, important people reached the agreement that the world's zero line of longitude would run through Greenwich, England. Now, we've got this one universal grid, 0 degrees latitude at the equator and 0 degrees longitude at the prime meridian, and they meet at a single point. Which leads us to our mysterious, non-existent island, called Null Island. Upon zooming in on these coordinates, you won't find land, only the ocean. This spot lies in the Gulf of Guinea, about 370 miles off the coast of Ghana. It's part of a busy shipping region, but there's no island waiting for you. And yet, on digital maps, it's possible to see one marked there. It's an imagined place located at the real location. It's a prank spot made up by mapmakers, a fake island dropped right at the coordinates 0, 0. It started as an inside joke, but then it became super useful. Basically, when GPS or mapping software gets confused, it sometimes defaults the mistake straight to 0, 0. Random pins, misplaced facilities, and even whole datasets that clearly don't belong in the middle of the Atlantic. They are digital errors collected in one spot, so the system doesn't break. Traveling to this part of the world just to see this digital landmark isn't exactly worth the trip. But right at those same coordinates, at one point, there was something real, a weather buoy. This is not a joke. It was part of an important climate project called Pirata, run by scientists from the US, France, and Brazil. This buoy gathered ocean and weather data to help predict stuff like rain in Africa or hurricanes in the Atlantic. It was decommissioned in 2021, so we're back to the location being an inside joke. How coincidental that at 0, 0, there is literally nothing remarkable. However, there are searchable coordinates with weird, spooky, or amazing stuff that you can find with Google Earth. Places like Nagoro, Japan. At first glance, it looks like a sleepy little mountain village. But look closer, and you notice that the people there don't move. That's because they're not people at all. They're dolls, more than 350 of them. A local woman placed each one to stand in for a neighbor who had passed away or moved out. One for her father, one for a classmate, one for a farmer in the fields. Now, the dolls outnumber humans and make this place a beautiful, eerie, open-air museum of memories. Unless you are scared of life-size scarecrows. In that case, it's more like a horror movie. Then, there's the Blood Lake near Baghdad. When it appeared on Google Earth in 2007, it shocked anyone who saw it. The water looked pretty suspicious, garnering all kinds of rumors. The truth was more ordinary. Scientists say the color was likely caused by algae, pollution, or dye from nearby slaughterhouses. Over time, the lake returned to its normal color. However, the interesting bit is that the exact cause has never been officially confirmed. Even though the reason is probably biological, it's enough for the internet to remember this forever. Now in Canada, we have a landscape that knows a trick or two. From the ground, it's just badlands, nothing except eroded hills and valleys. However, if you raise a drone to look from above, you'll see the perfect outline of a human face wearing a Native American headdress. People only started to notice it in the early 2000s when satellite images became available for everyone. For years, locals had been walking and driving by it without thinking anything was out of the ordinary. No one carved it. Wind and rain did the work over thousands of years. Or maybe it's just the local spirit showing off. Either way, it's an awesome coincidence. This is similar to the Sudanese desert, where there's a rock formation nicknamed the Human Lips. From ground level, you see sand and stones, but from above, you can spot an uncanny shape that resembles two perfect lips. It's just regular erosion, but the way it looks is so memorable that satellite pics made it viral online. Some people dubbed it the Kiss of Sudan, showing that even empty deserts can surprise you with a little humor. Meanwhile, in the middle of Turkmenistan's Karakum Desert lies one of the wildest places on the planet, the Gates of Hell. Officially, it's known as the Darvaza Crater, but calling it a crater just doesn't do it justice. It all kicked off decades ago when the ground caved in, and someone thought it would be smart to set fire to the gas leaking out to stop it from spreading. The plan was for a few weeks of flames, but here we are, over 50 years later, and it's still blazing away. During the day it looks like a smoldering pit, but at night, it's like something out of a sci-fi movie. Orange flames flicker against the dark desert, heat waves shimmering into the sky. People still make the journey to see it. There are no guardrails or amenities, just the vast desert and the sound of roaring fire. Some folks even camp out nearby, completely captivated by the glow. The last one is in Australia, and it's another example of nature creating something artistic by coincidence. It's the famous shipwreck of the SS Arfield. Built in 1911, the ship once carried cargo and even served as a transport vessel. Decades later, it was abandoned along with other decommissioned ships in the bay. But after humans left, nature claimed it and made it breathtaking. Basically, mangrove trees took root inside the ship's hollow frame, turning the wreck into something resembling a floating forest. It became a living landmark that locals now celebrate. There's so much more to explore, but we'll have to save some for another time. Hidden pentagrams in the steppe, or airplanes lying silently under turquoise Bahamian waters. Once upon a time, maps were only used for traveling. But thanks to technology, exploring a 3D map has become a way to travel. It won't replace the real thing, but it can spark ideas for your next adventure or vacation. Hey, can you lift a truck with your hands? No? Shocker. But let me introduce you to nature's original strongman, the ocean, which casually tossed 700-ton boulders around like they were pebbles during a mega tsunami that hit Africa thousands of years ago. This wasn't just a bad day at the beach. This mega tsunami was so powerful, it made the 2004 Indonesian and 2011 Japanese tsunamis look like kiddie pool splashes. Now, to give you an idea of how terrifying regular tsunamis already are, the Japan tsunami produced waves 133 feet tall. The Indian Ocean tsunami was slightly smaller, but it took over 200,000 lives across many countries. Now imagine something way worse. You see, for a long time, scientists thought waves that big were just science fiction. But then they found these enormous boulders, massive chunks of rock, flung far inland, and did the math. It turns out only waves around 800 feet tall could have pulled off that kind of rocky vandalism. And the culprit? A volcano that literally fell apart into the ocean and triggered one of the most powerful tsunamis Earth has ever seen. Usually, tsunamis are blamed on underwater earthquakes, tectonic plates getting into slap fights. But volcanoes? Oh, they've got tsunami potential too. In 1883, for example, a volcano in Indonesia named Krakatoa erupted for 6 months non-stop until it exploded, and the explosion was heard all the way in Australia. This triggered many tsunamis, some almost 100 feet tall. Still, that was more like a toe dip compared to the full cannonball from the mega tsunami. Back in ancient times, the volcano that crumbled during the mega tsunami was huge, and it didn't just fall apart. It lost a chunk that was 10 times the size of Mount Everest. 10 Mount Everests. It was like the Earth wanted to see what would happen if we threw a mountain into the ocean just for fun. It was so massive that when the entire side of the volcano belly flopped into the Atlantic, it created waves that could cover the Statue of Liberty 3 times. It also destroyed an island more than 30 miles away. The volcano behind this real-life Michael Bay scene was called Fogo, located on, you guessed it, Fogo Island. This island is basically just a whole single volcano that rose from the sea thanks to a magma hotspot, a place in the ocean where a lot of magma escapes and erupts like an underwater volcano. Over time, this magma cooled and stacked up like pancakes until, voila, after 7 major eruptions, the island popped out of the ocean like it was playing peekaboo. Surprise, it's a volcano. But Fogo's dramatic entrance was also a ticking time bomb. You see, the more a volcano grows, the heavier it gets, and if there's not enough magma inside it to support it, the whole thing can just collapse. Sometimes it doesn't take much. A minor earthquake, some erosion, or just a poor foundation made of soft sediment can trigger a collapse. It's like a really tall guy trying to balance over a bunch of marbles. Fogo had all the bad luck ingredients: too tall, too heavy, and built on squishy ground. And it gets worse. As the volcano grows heavier, it starts squishing the magma underneath. That lava can't rise, so it just simmers down there, slowly thickening like soup left on a burner for too long. Gases build up, pressure increases, and eventually, kaboom! It's the volcanic version of eating too many burritos and then trying to hold in a sneeze. This massive pressure and imbalance can trigger what's called a flank collapse, which is science speak for oops, half the volcano just fell into the ocean. That's what happened with Fogo. Most of the volcanic islands that form this way are long gone, but Fogo is still very much alive and kicking. In fact, it last erupted in 2014, and considering that it goes off every 20 years, maybe don't travel to Fogo Island in around 2034. For the longest time, scientists believe only big, bulky volcanic islands could collapse like this. But new research says that even smaller, skinnier guys, like the Danny DeVitos of the island world, aren't safe either. The thing is that small volcanic islands only seem stable because of their small mass. It's like Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger both slipping on the ice. Arnie's fall might cause more chaos, but Danny can still go flying. And those little collapses? Yes, they matter. Take Santa Maria, a tiny island that's about 170 times smaller than Hawaii. It has collapsed multiple times, not because it wanted to, but because it's basically standing on soggy breadcrumbs. Its foundation is loose marine sediment, and to make things worse, it's sitting right next to the East Azores Fault, where 3 tectonic plates meet up for daily slap fights. This fault is responsible for many earthquakes and even some tsunamis that happened in Lisbon in the past, so you can imagine what it's like living right above it. Every time the volcano in Santa Maria erupts and grows, it also sinks. But when a chunk collapses, it bounces back up like a buoy. This seamount to island again roller coaster means that Santa Maria has popped in and out of the ocean like a submarine playing peekaboo, and with every peak comes a potential tsunami. Another volcano with similar trust issues is Pacaya, located in Guatemala. Between 2011 and 2013, scientists spotted strange movements in the soil, tiny shifts that suggested something underneath was getting restless. Sure enough, in 2014, Pacaya erupted. Luckily, it didn't collapse, but that risk still looms, especially if magma gets trapped in it like it did with Fogo. The consequences could be explosive, literally. In fact, about 1,000 years ago, Pacaya experienced a collapse that sent debris avalanches more than 15 miles away. Since then, it's rebuilt itself like a fiery phoenix, but it could still crumble again. That's why volcanologists obsess over the tiniest wobbles. It's not paranoia if the mountain really might fall. Now you might be thinking here, okay, but that was the past. Surely that kind of ridiculous mega tsunami collapse can't happen again, right? Well, welcome to the 21st century. Islands like Hawaii, La Palma in Spain, and various parts of the Caribbean are sitting on the same kind of geological whoopee cushions. All it takes is the right combo: loose foundation, steep slopes, maybe some trapped magma, and boom, flank collapse. In fact, it's already happened recently. In 2018, Anak Krakatau, the volcanic baby of the infamous Krakatoa, lost a big chunk of itself during an eruption. It caused a tsunami, but it was more awkward than devastating, like a volcano losing its pants on stage. Embarrassing, but survivable. But that's just amateur hour compared to history's real showstoppers. Ritter Island's 1888 collapse was so intense that the island literally got shorter. It went from being more than 2,000 feet tall to a mere 460 feet. But the record holder is the legendary Latua Bay megasplash from 1958, where a 7.8 magnitude earthquake triggered a massive landslide that sent a wave taller than the Empire State Building roaring through Alaska at highway speeds. Strangely enough, only 5 people lost their lives here, but on the other hand, the destruction path it left behind can still be seen today, all the way from space. Melting glaciers and ice caps can make volcanoes collapse too. When they melt, there's a sudden decrease in pressure on Earth's crust that can destabilize entire volcanoes. It's called isostatic rebound. It's like suddenly yanking a chair out from under someone who's been sitting still for centuries. Whoops. Also, here's something you probably never thought you'd worry about on your island getaway. Some volcanic islands grow outward as lava pours into the sea, creating unstable platforms known as lava deltas. These deltas can collapse without warning, taking newly formed land, and sometimes tourists too, right back into the ocean. No pressure though, just thought, maybe you want to stay off steaming new land. So yeah, next time you're lounging on a beachy volcanic island thinking, wow, this place is paradise, just remember, it might also be a ticking geological time bomb with a flair for the dramatic. From ancient mountain-sized cannonballs to surprise lava deltas, volcanoes have a history of keeping things spicy. That's it for today. So hey, if you pacified your curiosity, then give the video a like and share it with your friends.